Today on the Real Fan Review, we go over the Comic-Con trailers and movie news that came out all this weekend. Welcome to the Real Fan Review. What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, and today we're going over Comic-Con 2019.
Oh my God!
Woo!
The news that we got from this
Mind
place.
blown.
I can't believe the amount of news that we have and trailers that we have for 3 days.
I feel like we got
This
nothing
might
but
be like
news.
one of the biggest like Comic-Con reveals ever. Like when you
Yeah.
consider the volume of stuff
It was pretty big. It
that
was
came
huge.
out of it. It's like I just kept reading more and more. I'm like, what?
Yo, like every 10 minutes on like 10 minutes, boom, here's new news. New news. I was
Yeah.
like, stop it. You
Brandon,
stop it right
Brandon
now.
was texting me, and I'm like, dude, are you there? Are you physically there? He's like, no, I'm just reading it.
I get a
like,
ping every time
no,
something
like
happens.
the news was like coming through so quick. Like I felt like I was gonna seize out, bro. Like I just couldn't. Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yo, you're talking about everything over there today. Okay.
Anyway, guys, we just want to introduce ourselves to you, man. Again, I'm Hav here from the Real Fan Review, and today with us we got my boy Sanj.
hello, everyone. As always, it's a pleasure to be with you.
We got our man in the chair, Al, here,
What's going on, everybody?
and we got my brother B.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Every week's a little more Spanish, huh? It's the most Spanish I've ever heard him speak in my life.
That's right. I'm learning.
Yeah, so today,
Quiero
listen.
Taco Bell.
Oh, here we go.
CC.
So listen, guys, before we get into everything, we always want to let you know that we are on social media platforms of Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You could also email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com or just visit our website, therealfanreview.com. And again, the play on words on real, REEL. You can find us there. We're everywhere. And again, we're going to go over Comic-Con. But before we do the Comic-Con stuff, some of these trailers came out this week because a lot of these movie places, they like to take advantage of the Comic-Con craze. They know people are looking for that information, so they drop their trailers. They drop their news out there. And one of the first things that I saw that came out this week was Hustlers, the new Jennifer Lopez movie. We just actually, me and Sanj actually just filmed a little something for YouTube on that trailer that we'll put out sometime next week or the week after. And Sanj, what do you think of the Hustlers trailer?
I think you put it best when you said it's Magic Mike meets Wolf of Wall Street, except girls.
Except girls, and that's it.
Or
man.
women, sorry.
Yeah,
women.
absolutely, man. And it looked good. It looked like it's a story-based
Yeah,
movie. It's not
yeah,
a movie
it
just to see Jennifer Lopez half naked, you know?
I mean, that'd be okay, too. I mean, because you got a lot of names in this movie. You got Jennifer Lopez, you got Cardi B, you got Jennifer Lawrence as well.
Jennifer Lawrence? Maybe.
I thought I did see
There
her
was
name.
some girl that looked like her there that I thought
Woman,
was her.
some woman.
Yeah, women and girls.
Yeah,
My
there you go.
fault,
Yep.
man.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I mean, if that was the movie, I mean, for entertainment value, of course, yeah, it's still
Yeah.
worth going to see. But the monologue that Jennifer Lopez had in it, where they're talking about the guys on Wall Street that crashed the economy, and then they made their plan to go after them and to basically take them for everything that they had.
Right.
It seems like there's gonna be some nice plot, some nice story, and it looks like it'll be a good date night movie with the wife there.
Yeah, I'm sure the wives are going to want to see this one, too.
Yes, I believe so.
And
So, sorry.
No, I was going to say, did you guys see anything? Did you guys see the trailer Hustlers by any chance, Brandon?
No, I never
Al?
caught it.
Definitely got to give it a look there. It's a quick two-minute trailer there. Kind of sells the movie itself,
Yeah.
man. It's
The
not
pre-
gratuitous. It's just,
I mean, the fact that it is a true story kind of makes it interesting to see, because I think I kind of remember hearing about it in the news.
right.
So it's interesting to see them taking on the story from their point of view as opposed to the supposed victim's point of view, which they usually do. So it'll be
I
interesting.
like how you said supposed victims.
Yeah, exactly. But
I mean, they did drug them and stuff.
But they paid for it.
yeah. So, but it'll be interesting. Is it like to see? And then they didn't go with a young. I mean, granted, Jennifer Lopez is a name; it's going to bring people in. But given the nature of what they're doing, they could have easily gone for, say, a younger actress. And I'm glad they didn't do ageism. They still went with the big name. And it does help that despite her age, she doesn't
To be
look
fair,
it.
though, she hasn't aged in like
I was
30
just
years.
going to say.
For
You
real,
know,
though.
so I'm saying, like,
She doesn't look it. So it does help her with that sense. But, you know, Hollywood, they easily could have said, oh, well,
We're looking for a certain type.
we're looking. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know.
All right, man. And another trailer that came out. I'm not sure if it was actually this week or the week before, but
was the week
Jumanji 3 or Jumanji The Next Level is what they called it
Yes.
there. And I know, Brandon, you've been saying Danny DeVito's name for Pikachu and for all these other characters lately.
Listen, Danny DeVito's great. If I could have him here on the show, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Huh? You want me to come to the show?
Yeah, I'll be there.
so what'd you think of the Jumanji trailer there?
It was hilarious. Holy cow. I think The Rock impersonating Danny DeVito alone
Oh, it's so
was
beautiful.
hilarious. And
What
then
about Chris Rock doing Danny Glover?
I
I mean, not Chris
Kevin
Rock.
Hart,
Kevin
yeah.
Hart.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
my
was
God.
great,
Did I really
especially-
just call Kevin Hart Chris Rock. Oh, wow. He's gonna kill us. Oh no.
Yeah, come all the way
Sorry.
down from
Sorry,
so
Kevin
black
Hart.
man is all the back
Sorry,
with Chris
Kevin
Rock.
Hart. Sorry,
He's
Kevin
coming down
Hart.
from Jersey, man. I think that dynamic there is hilarious.
Dude, yeah.
That whole trailer just looks so funny. I hope that we don't have the best parts in the trailer,
Of
and
course.
it kind of carries on throughout the movie. But I think that was actually perfect.
Yeah. What'd you think, Sean? Did you see that trailer last
It looked
week?
hilarious.
I was rolling in my car.
Yeah,
I was
it looked
watching
hilarious.
it. Forget it. It was just crazy. and I love that it's the same characters, but it's
they're
different now. You know what I mean?
The same actors play, and then they switched. The characters have switched.
Uh-huh.
Who's playing who?
Yeah, they're playing character. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's gonna be really interesting.
Al, you got a chance to watch it too, or
Yeah, no, I saw it when it first came out, and I liked it. I'm hope it has the same draw that the first one had,
right?
and I hope that it's just like the first one in that the same thing. I was afraid that we saw everything that was good about the movie in the preview.
Right.
You know, how can they remake Jumanji? How can you add to it to the point? And I like the way they flipped it in the movie.
Yeah.
It was no longer a board game. They modernized it for how kids today would have been playing video games.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, and then to change it and call it another level and so forth, and the twist of now it's not Kevin Hart playing the same
Same character,
football
right.
guy, but in a short body, he's now someone else, and so it'll be interesting to see how they take on it.
And isn't the popular girl? She's still Jack Black.
no,
No, they switched him.
They switched?
The football
Yeah.
player is now Jack Black.
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yeah. And I guess those other two characters we saw in the trailer are going to be those two missing characters that we had, or maybe the one missing
well,
character.
Danny Glover is, I think, isn't he Rock?
Danny Glover is Kevin Hart.
Is
Yeah.
Kevin Hart? So
Right.
Danny,
And Danny
DeVito,
DeVito
is Rock.
is The Rock. Yeah. Remember, it's like show,
Just the thought of it's making you laugh, right?
What's the cunning stare? It's like, oh, Mo, he's having a stroke. He's having a stroke.
Oh, boys. Amazing.
I mean, as an aside though, how talented is The Rock though? I mean,
Dude,
come on.
I don't want to hear that he's not an actor.
He is an actor.
He's
Because,
acting
look,
now. He's doing his thing,
does,
man.
No, but he does like real serious stuff when on his show, the Ballers,
Yeah.
on HBO. And it's a total departure from like the comedy stuff that he does, then the wrestling stuff that he does. I mean, and he like pulls it off. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the dude is so talented.
Yeah,
He's really
he's
doing
super
good,
talented.
man. And then another trailer that came out this week, I think it actually came out with Comic-Con on Friday or Thursday, was Top Gun 2.
Oh man,
Maverick.
Now, I mean, from the trailer I got, it looks good, and Tom Cruise is supposedly an old character that's just refusing to retire.
so Tom Cruise and Jennifer Lopez like drink the same water.
It's got to be the same thing in Hollywood.
Yeah,
like,
like-
Probably
yeah, they're
coconut
passing that
water.
around.
Coconut water.
Whatever it is. I mean, they
Because
go to
even-
the-
'cause even
or
Johnny
they go
Depp's
to the
drinking it
or
too.
They got something going on. They probably go to the same church or something, and they are blessed.
like what is it? It's like Leo, Johnny Depp, Tom
no,
Cruise.
Leo's aged a little bit, but
Yeah, a little
but he's
bit.
gotten more.
He stopped drinking the water for a couple
yeah,
years.
no, but he's gotten more distinguished.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he doesn't look like a boy anymore.
Right,
But he
yeah.
looks like a very distinguished gentleman. Like,
Yeah.
But with the same look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Al, what'd you think of the Top Gun 2? Like, how did it come off to you? I barely remember the first one.
The shooting of the movie, the lighting and all that, the cinematography and everything looks good.
Oh, yeah.
It makes you want to see the movie, and the dynamics of the nature of the movie is going to make you want to see it. It's just they've repeated so many scenes. It looked like it was the preview for the first movie.
The volleyball.
He just aged. Yeah, he's just older. Like, yeah,
Got this
they're
old man on the
playing
beach now.
Volleyball, him riding the bike, watching the plane go by.
Yeah.
You know, and
I feel like this movie's gonna be mostly like, "Hey, get out of here, old man." Like I feel like that's gonna be the premise of the whole movie.
Yeah, that's what. But honestly, in a way, that when I heard they were making a sequel, I was hoping he was an instructor at the school,
But I feel
and passing on the torch,
Right.
as opposed to it still being about him flying.
It
but
can
even
be.
even that type of story is kind of overdone also, where they
Yeah.
bring something
But
back
that's why,
with the
in a
same
way, I
name, and
almost
then
didn't
the
want it to be
original
back.
one.
Yeah.
The original guy becomes the instructor or
Yeah.
the elder statesman type or whatever to the new generation or whatever.
Ah,
To me, that would be more
The student has surpassed the
No, but
teacher.
then-
right. Exactly. To me, that would be more cliched.
Yeah, but given the nature of what he's doing, I mean, not to be
Mm-hmm.
discriminatory against age, but the stresses of that. I mean, he's a fighter pilot
Especially that Mach 3.
taking on those
yeah.
G's with the move. Especially in the preview, they show him he punches the plane to go straight up. So like that G's on a person of his age at this point, would he still be able to stay conscious? Because even young pilots have a hard time remaining conscious under that much G's.
Yeah.
So
Well, you figure if he's stayed in that great of a shape where he still looks the way he looks. I mean, like right now. I mean, if you look back, like let's say a Dolph Lundgren in the '80s when he was playing, in the Rocky movie, and you look at him now, like, yeah, Dolph, don't step in that ring, bro. You know what I mean? Like, don't step in that ring.
Send your son in.
Send your son in.
He's like, watch it for a while. Yeah, if he dies, he dies. Yeah.
If he dies. Love it, man.
You will lose.
But I mean, either way, the
Jolos.
visuals. You know what was so cool was the sonic boom of the
Yeah.
3 planes flying by. That looked really cool.
So what I really liked in the trailer was the different shots that they did. So now they're taking you in the cockpit. So you're facing him and you can see out the cockpit when he's taking off, and you get a real feel for like how fast these planes are taking off. You know what I mean? And then I did notice the sonic boom scene. I thought that was
just
incredible.
phenomenal.
Just
It's
the fact
crazy.
that they would think to shoot it that way. Because you remember from the original, they didn't do any of that. No one thought
No,
enough
technology and all that stuff. And it probably wasn't Tom Cruise in the plane. I think this is Tom Cruise in the plane.
I want to know if
I
this man is
think
flying
those
this
shots
plane.
of the cockpit were for him to show people, no, I really flew this.
yeah.
Like, yeah, like I feel
I
like
did
Tom
my own
Cruise,
stunt.
I want to know because Tom Cruise, he's crazy.
No,
That's crazy.
and even if he didn't do it, Tom, lie to me.
Lie to me.
Lie to me, Tom. Lie.
Like I was watching a couple weeks ago, I was watching Rock of Ages, and he's in that movie, and he's singing all these high lines, and I had to Google search. I'm like, can Tom Cruise sing? And he sings beautifully. Like, yo, what
Guy's
can you
talented,
do,
man.
man?
Voice of an
It
angel.
was gorgeous. Like, yeah, there was some auto tune thrown in there, sure, but like, holy cow! Like he was singing "Rock You Like a Hurricane," and I'm like, oh my god, like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's just a
What
different
can
type
he
of
do?
acting there, man. It really is.
That's not even method acting anymore. Like,
I know one movie he can't do. The most electrifying move in sports entertainment, The People's Elbow.
you mean bounce off the rope twice and then have a seizure and fall?
Don't you dare. Yo, the wind up was so crazy.
The wind up is nuts, man.
He's like, "Ah, drop. Like, did he just have a stroke? No, he won the match. He won the match. That's how you win the match.
But he might have had a stroke.
He might have had a stroke too.
He may or may not have.
I'm gonna need The Rock to come and voluntarily show off that move because I need to make sure there was no strokage.
Oh my goodness, man.
Strokage?
Oh,
You want some
sorry.
strokage from
That
The Rock?
verbiage.
That is a party foul. You can throw a flag on that right there.
You know we're having that kind of podcast.
We are in rare form
Dude,
tonight.
it's awesome, man.
Comic-Con, that's why.
Comic-Con, man. Oh, man. And then the last trailer that I want to talk about came out on Thursday, and wow. This trailer, actually, me and Brandon just did a trailer review on this one. It's called It Chapter 2. And I can't sleep tonight.
It looks like it actually genuinely be terrifying. Like it's gonna be frightening.
I mean, besides him screaming into the damn video at the end of the trailer, the balloons, 1,000 balloons, red balloons. If I saw 1,000 red balloons right now, I think the world's ending.
If I saw one red balloon, I would literally
red
just
balloon.
get in the closet.
Dude,
Like that.
I'm actually a weirdo now with the red balloon. Anytime I see one red balloon, I'm like, oh my goodness, man. Did you guys? Did you? Oh, dude, do that again, please.
Hello, Georgie. Hello.
So, I mean, did you guys get a chance to watch it, or?
I didn't see it when it came out Thursday, but I can't remember what movie I went to see. Probably with one you guys.
Lion King.
No, it
No
definitely
way.
wasn't Lion King. But I did see the trailer on that, and it was, oh my god! Right at the beginning with the old lady when she like,
Oh my god!
oh
yeah.
my god,
That's gonna be a crazy scene too, because they did that in the movie, the previous one, the TV one, and it's in the books, and so that scene was like uniquely terrifying as it is. So.
I'm looking forward to this. Al, you get a chance to catch that one?
Nah,
or-
not the.
Did you
I
watch
didn't
the first?
even realize that. Yeah, I saw the first preview.
Yeah. No,
So it looks. That one caught me. And
Yeah.
I'm glad they're not doing the 5, 6, 7, 8 previews before.
yeah, they said this is the final trailer. They're not
That's
doing
it,
anything
yeah.
more until September.
Because it's a horror movie. You want to be surprised. You
Absolutely.
Great that I know a lot of them nowadays. They throw that jump scare in, where you're just reacting to somebody jumping out.
Yeah.
But this one really looks like, even if you knew what was coming, you're still getting scared when it comes on the screen.
I hear you. You know, it's funny you said jump scare. And the first thing I thought about, the best trailer jump scare I think I've ever seen in my life was for The Nun. The trailer shows some lady walking in the hallway, and there's something behind her, and some shit slides from the slide and pushes her. Oh,
Pushing against the wall, right?
I was like,
Yeah.
a trailer.
Yeah.
Oh man, but those are the trailers that came out. There were a couple more, but these are the main ones that came out this week. And then with this podcast, we haven't really been doing a lot of like what we used to do, which was like talk about some of the movies we've seen and do trailers and then go into the story, because we've been pretty much just keeping it down to just whatever movie's coming out this week or anything like that. But this week we'll do like an old school kind of thing, and we'll start with Sanj. Man, did you get a chance to check out any movies this week?
I did. Today, as a matter of fact, I took the kids. We took the kids to see Lion King. The live action version that just came out.
What'd you guys think? What the family think?
They liked it, generally liked it, but I thought it was not the best live action version
Okay.
of a movie that they've done.
Which one would you say is the best live action one so far? A lot of people say Cinderella, the first one.
Either Cinderella or Aladdin.
Oh,
at
that's
this
right. You
point.
guys liked Aladdin a
I
lot.
loved
I'd
Aladdin.
definitely say
I
Aladdin
mean,
on it.
if it was up to me, I would say Aladdin, just because the music. I like the music from Aladdin a lot better.
Right.
But it wasn't bad. It was good. I mean, you could have easily just rewatched The Lion King, the original
Yeah.
one. And there were some things that they changed up that I didn't like. Scar's big musical
Be prepared,
segment,
yeah.
Be Prepared. They changed it a lot, and it wasn't as theatrical. It wasn't as musical. It was more of like a monologue with some music in the back.
Yep.
Really? Wow.
And I did not like, because actually Scar's music scene in the original Lion King was one of the best ones.
Right.
Like the whole scene,
It was very
I still
Yeah.
can remember. I
too.
can still see the images in my head of the animated version of it.
yeah, and of course Jeremy Irons was voicing Scar
Right.
at that point, which should we tell Ejiofor did a great job as Scar?
Right.
No, he didn't come close to Jeremy Irons though.
Gotcha.
Doing Scar. Of course, Mufasa's back. James Earl Jones is back as Mufasa. Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome.
How Childish Gambino do with Simba?
He did well.
Yeah.
He did really well.
All right.
There was one real funny moment in the movie when so they're gonna use spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. I'm pretty late with that anyway.
You're using it right.
If you haven't seen the original Lion King, come on.
Well, no, but this is a little bit different. So the point where they're gonna use Timon and they're gonna use Pumbaa as live bait to distract the hyenas so they can sneak back into Pride Rock or whatever. So Timon starts to sing a song from Beauty and the Beast. Because they're using, they're using Pumbaa as live bait. He's like, and before you could say guest, Pumbaa's just like, oh, and he just like, books it. But like he does like the whole French accent and everything,
Yeah.
and they really set you up. You're like, oh, cool, they're gonna do like a Beauty and the Beast song in the movie too,
yeah.
right? Nope, he just books it.
I heard actually Timon and Pumbaa.
They were hilarious.
Dude.
They
Yeah.
were hilarious. Seth Rogen.
Billy
was a-
Eichner,
Yeah.
yo, he can sing.
Oh yeah,
And he's hilarious too. Like I didn't foresee Billy Eichner being so good at singing.
gotcha. Brandon, so what'd you think of the overall movie for yourself, man?
I was disappointed.
Yeah,
Really.
okay.
I feel like it was spent way too much on making the lions and everything look so real that when they started singing, you didn't believe it.
Okay.
Like I don't know, like especially, and I think when you try and translate a film like The Lion King from animated to live action CGI, sorry, they call it live, but I think you lose a bit of the
Live
charm.
CGI.
Yeah, like live CGI. You lose a bit of the charm. Like I just can't wait to be king. When you watch that in the animated version, there's lively colors. You have all these animals, and they're doing all these things that animals can't do.
Right.
Like they're building pyramids for Simba to literally climb up and show up as a king at the end. Kind of a thing, and it's so much fun.
Right.
But in this movie, as they're singing "Just Can't Wait to Be King," it's literally just the lions kind of running around, and it's just like, oh, okay, and
Yeah.
the kid who plays Simba is great.
I heard that.
Great voice. But I just like, you lose a lot of the charm. Be prepared, like you said, was just Scar kind of monologuing.
Right.
And he does a really great job, but his Scar was more passive than Jeremy Irons is more maniacal kind of a thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I think they did an interesting job in trying to take it. I feel like it's gonna relate to a lot of the kids, and this and that. But if you were a fan of the original, I don't feel like it hits the same note.
Yeah.
If this was the original version of Lion King, or if this was the first time it
Yeah.
had come out, it would be more awesome
Yeah,
because you wouldn't have anything to compare it to.
exactly.
But the fact that I know the original Lion King,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
come close. Like I expect the live versions to add to it or build upon it and be like
Yeah.
just visually stunning, right? In ways like the animated couldn't be, and it just didn't deliver.
I
Yeah.
also didn't like that the movie really didn't add anything new. Like if you watch the new Beauty and the Beast and the new Aladdin, they've added stuff to the story.
They did add stuff to this story. So a couple of things I did like was they gave Nala a lot more shine in this movie. Like the fight, the big fight at the end in the original, it shows that the lionesses are going after the hyenas or doing battle with the hyenas, while Simba and Scar are the main attraction in the fight. And in the live action, the
She's,
fight
like, leading
scenes
the
with
charge.
Nala and Sarabi dealing with the hyenas,
Right.
even Shenzi and Nala have a showdown at the end. The way Scar and Simba have a showdown, and they have their own fight scene. So they added that, which I thought was really cool. So they gave Nala a lot more shine. They gave Sarabi a lot more shine in this version of it. So that was good. They gave Nala had a new song.
Well, so I have a tink with that. I was very, I enjoy Beyonce. I didn't like her performance in this movie because of that new song. They went out of their way to make a new song for Nala, but Nala already has her own song that was more impactful and like actually better, called Shadowland, and that's in the Broadway musical mostly. And I was really upset that they changed that one out for this new one, and I know it's specifically for Beyonce, but I feel like Shadowland actually had more of an impact than this new song. So I was a little upset with that, and I also feel like Beyonce added way too much to those songs. Like
she was hitting it with the vibrato.
she was hitting with all the riffing, man. Like Can You Feel the Love Tonight? Ooh, that was a Beyonce fest. Like went a little crazy on that one. Childish
So,
Gambino was just trying to swim.
So
Like,
I had decided to not say anything, but then B went ahead and started it. So
Go for it,
I'm just
bro.
gonna jump in on that.
jump,
too.
jump, jump.
Beyonce is an incredible performer. Her music, however, is written, in my opinion, or maybe not my opinion, but I think we all know that her music is written for her voice.
Yep.
So now when she tries to sing music that's not written specifically for her, it's not always the greatest.
Gotcha.
And that's why I actually heard the Can You Feel the Love Tonight before I watched the movie, and I was just so underwhelmed by it because
Right.
I mean, when the original came out, and because Elton John wrote these songs
Yeah.
and put all the music together, and everything, and it was just so beautiful and everything, and it just wasn't. It didn't come near.
Fell flat.
That,
It
like-
really fell flat.
No, I mean, as a singer, I mean, if she was and you were anywhere out and you're hearing her sing, I'm like, oh, it's beautiful, it's cool,
Right.
Yeah.
right? But from what we know it to be, she couldn't deliver that.
I got you.
You know, and it's one thing if they were putting actors and actresses on the screen, you're doing voice acting. So I don't understand why they didn't go get someone that can sing in that register or sing these songs the way they should have been sung.
Now, one of the things I keep hearing over and over from like a lot of the reviewers is that one of the issues they had is the animals, even though they're live and they look like the real deal, they couldn't emote. Emotions were hard to read. Emotions were hard to see in
Yes.
the animals.
I was gonna
Is,
say that.
is that
Yeah.
one of the things you
in the
guys came
last-
away with?
Yes, in the last scene when Simba climbs up. Well, not the last scene. In the scene when Simba climbs up Pride Rock to take his place as king for his first time, to assume
Right.
the mantle of king. In the animated version, you could tell like there was a weariness in him,
Yeah.
and from the fight and the amount of emotions that were going through him, that he was walking his father's footsteps and everything, and then when he gets to the top, like it was
Immense,
very
impactful.
very emotional scene,
Right.
as emotional as you can get
Yep.
from a cartoon, right? A kid's cartoon, right? And with the music coming in and with the musical score with it, it was just, yeah, you got it.
Gotcha.
And then I wanted that from this too when it was his time to make that walk up, and it just, you couldn't even really see the fact that it was raining. You know,
Right.
so there's just a lot that they didn't get right.
I gotcha. So I mean, based off what you guys are saying, is this something that you would recommend people to see, or
I would say go see it, because go take your kids
of course
to see
yeah.
it, because
agreed.
it will introduce a whole new generation of kids to the Lion King, to the music of the Lion King, to the story of the Lion King, and then they'll say, hey, well, let's see the cartoon as well.
right.
Let's see the
Hey,
animated
you thought
version.
that was great. Look at this. Watch this one too.
Exactly. So they'll be
Yeah.
like, and then I would say yes. Take your if you haven't seen it, or your kids haven't seen Lion King in any form yet, yeah, take them. Definitely go take them. It's still worth it.
Absolutely.
But I'm just talking about from my perspective as someone who grew up, like with the Lion King,
Yeah.
and for the longest time I thought it was the greatest Disney movie.
Still is, man. To me,
Moana.
you guys, I gotta see it, man. You guys keep telling me about Moana, man.
Like, come on, it's like been out for how many years now?
I know.
You
I
still
gotta get
haven't
up
seen
on it, man. Brandon, would you recommend people seeing this movie, or wait, just go get the old Lion King?
I'd say the same. Like, take your kids, like, experience it. It's not a bad time. It's a good, fun film. My personal opinion is that it doesn't have the same charm as the animated.
Gotcha.
Right. And we're not hating on
No,
the
no,
live
not at
action,
all.
because
Just
I thought, as much as I loved the original Lion, I thought the live action was incredible
Yeah.
because of what they added and the fact that so much came out,
Mm-hmm.
and they did so much of it right.
Yeah.
But and this was my fear with them doing, I guess, Lion King specifically live action. Since the animals can't convey the emotion of what's being said, is it a situation where if you had this movie playing in the background or just the audio, would you get the same effect as you did just watching it?
It depends on the scenes. Not all the scenes would do
Because,
that.
like you said, with the animated, you see the visual.
It-
Like
some of-
when Pumbaa or Timon or whatever gets exasperated, you see him grab his face and you see him show the exasperation.
well, no, I think that again, it depends on which scenes you watch. So it's like
Yeah.
Seth Rogen and who was it that did Timon?
Billy Eichner.
Billy Eichner. Their performance, if you were just listening to it, is still hilarious.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying with this live action. Since the animals can't convey the emotion,
Right.
if you just heard the audio, would you still get the same effect as if you're watching
not
it?
for all the
Because you're not seeing any visual cue. You're just seeing
Not all the scenes.
Not-
Some of the
not for
scenes
all the
you-
performances.
Some of the scenes
Because that was
you
my
really get it.
concern.
I mean,
Like
James
okay,
Earl
fine.
Jones. Anything with James? Any scene with James Earl Jones in
Yeah.
it? Yes,
Okay.
because
He was
it's James
with
Earl
Simba,
Jones. And
yeah, when he
his
was with
voice
Simba,
delivers.
you got that scene. Like, it was
Yeah.
almost like watching the animated there. Like, I was
Okay,
like,
because I was gonna say, because like they can tell that they can train the animal to go to that mark, but they can't make him make a facial expression that matches
Well, it's
what the
CGI. They
character.
actually could.
Yeah,
that's
real-
why I'm saying
it's
it was
all
CGI.
CGI.
Oh, okay.
It's all
Yeah.
CGI.
Oh, yeah. See, so then they might as well just kept the animated.
Yeah.
Right.
come on, lions, come on over. Come on over. I need you to be angry. Fight.
And here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I watch a lot of nature shows you know, especially like David Attenborough and whatnot, of doing voiceovers and whatnot. And they take shots of real animals. They don't stage it or anything. This is all in the wild, right?
Yeah.
And there's some times when you see stuff happen and you really like feel like the animal is sad, like because like a cub dies or something like
yeah,
that.
you see the
and,
head
like,
dragging.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, or something like that, and like you could tell, like there's something going on in that animal at that point,
Mhm.
like they're feeling something. So real animals can do this, right?
They can't perform Lion King though.
Just now,
Just sing for me. Just sing. Can you feel? Oh God, give him the note.
Give him the
Give him the note. Come on.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. All right, man. Now, Al, how about you, man? You get to catch any movies this week? Anything you caught?
well, I've been catching my family and I. We're actually going to Disney Monday,
Awesome.
so we'll be there for a week, actually seeing the characters and everything. But we've been spending time getting ready for the trip. But actually, any downtime I've had, been trying to catch up on movies. So I finally caught Shazam. I finally was able to watch Brightburn, and I'm actually glad I finally got to see those movies. Both of them I actually enjoyed very much.
What'd you think of both of them? What did you think of Brightburn and Shazam?
Shazam was good. I didn't know much about Shazam going
Same
into
here,
it.
yeah.
Nothing. I knew he was a character in the Disney. I like in the DC world. I mean, I like the joke they took on the supers. Like the fact that I almost forgot this was taking place in the same world and universe as Superman and Aquaman. So they reminded me by referring to the supers, having the handicapped brother be obsessed with them, and knowing, like, he even had a bullet that had bounced off of Superman, and it was authenticated and verified and so forth. So having him, like, train him on how to be a superhero and learn his powers, it was hysterical. And then with Brightburn, that one, same thing. It was like, even though it's not in a super universe, I don't think,
Look, they're making their own.
they
Right?
made
They
their
make-
own.
yeah.
Like on Ulterior. And that movie, I'm glad they didn't, like, either, like, she never even got to hurt him. She found his weakness,
Right.
but she didn't even get to hurt. Like, I enjoyed
Because that's
that.
real.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
super strong.
It shows you that,
and quick, like so that he.
Oh, forget it.
Yeah.
It was weak in the sense that he immediately knew how to use his powers. Like, I didn't like that they didn't have the build up like they did with Superman. Like, you see him struggling with the power, and
Right.
this kid just one night wakes up, there's a red thing under the floor, and now he knows he can fly and all that. But the gruesomeness with how he was able to, it just showed, someone evil with these powers can, really do some.
So real
horrific
quick for
things.
Brightburn, Al, which one was the better kill for you? Dropping his uncle from the tractor trailer down into the ground.
That was gross, but to me, the most impactful kill was when he killed his father.
All the laser vision.
Yeah, okay, because he literally looked him in the eye and did it, and then kept doing it until it shot, like, literally through his head. Like, spoiler alert.
See, that's the wrong way. That's the way we do it.
So that, to me, I'm like, damn, like, that's evil, because this guy, just for the last, what was he, 12 at the time or 10 or
I
something?
think he was just turning
10, yeah.
12 or 13.
So,
yeah. I
for
think
that,
12
this was
his
somebody
birthday.
for all those years you knew of as your father, and you literally looked him in the eye.
He
Well,
shot
remember,
him in the
I was
head.
gonna
kid.
say, like,
shot him with
He
beams.
shot him in
like,
the no, but
No,
his
but
father
remember,
shot
he shot him in the head beforehand.
but you knew why you got shot. So what I'm saying is, and now here
And
you
Dad
are.
knew why he got laser beamed.
That's why.
His dad didn't know he wasn't going to kill him.
but here's the thing: he knew the son who had, at this point, I think, had already killed 2 people.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was
But
just
he
killing
had-
them to
I
kill
don't
them.
think he planned, or as much as he wasn't listening to his parents, I don't think he planned on doing harm.
No,
to his
he would have
parents.
left his parents alone if that.
Not
was
for
the case,
nothing,
but-
man. Like, really, pops? You shot
Yo,
me.
That's how he turned around.
That's how he turned around too. And he was like, "What?
He was like,
Who?"
he was like, wait, what? And then he's holding his head like, really?
You threw an acorn at me, Dad? That's cool, man. Now, I'm glad you got to see those, man.
Yeah,
I actually thought the most impactful kill was how he killed his mother.
Just dropped her.
No, but he still had to fly up there. So he flew up there looking at her in her eyes, and she knew what he was going to do. Like, the laser beams are the laser beams. That's a quicker kill. But he went up there, and he looked at her and just let her go.
I didn't think he was going to do it, man.
I
It's just so crazy.
And then, of course, since he has supervision, right? Watch her just drop all the way down and go splat.
Yeah. Now, what'd you think of the little teaser at the end?
That I found hysterical. The fact that they brought the guy in, they did the Alex Jones type character, yelling, screaming, and
Right.
conspiracy and everything. But to bring in an Aquaman version,
A
Wonder Woman.
I'm calling them the Darkness League.
Yeah,
I'm calling them
I
Darkness
just thought it was hysterical. I thought at first I didn't even realize DC had like kind of said okay
Yeah.
to the whole thing, because I'm watching at that point. I was like, all right, you can kind of say this isn't Superman, even though we know it's Superman. But at that point, I was like, all right, come on.
She has a lasso.
She's,
He
like,
had a
making-
red cape, and he was wearing blue jeans.
But yeah, so I was like, but I thought that was a cool, like,
Yeah.
what would happen? And it kind of will tie into our conversation about Comic-Con, because one of the things I'm most looking for that was announced is the What If series.
Gotcha.
So, like, what if Superman and the Justice League were actually the bad guys?
Right.
How would the world look? How would it react? And
We'd just all be
would we
slaves.
survive?
Brightburn.
We'd be slaves.
It'd be Brightburn.
Yeah.
Yo, I couldn't. Oh my god, a sinister Batman. Oh my god, that level.
That's
of
terrifying.
Yeah, that level
That's
of
terrifying.
intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They said
B-Dog.
they're making
Oh,
a
go
sequel.
for it.
Sorry. They
No.
said they were going to make a sequel, so
Yeah, it actually came out in Comic-Con this week that they were talking about making a sequel to it. So we'll see if they actually go through with
Yeah.
it. Now, B, any movies for you this week besides Lion King, or just pretty much Lion King was it for you?
it was just Lion King. It was a busy week, so
Yeah.
I want to try and see something this week. I don't know what, but like I'm trying to get my gear set on seeing some older movies, some Tarantino films, and
Yeah, same
kind of
here.
see what can go going.
Yeah, man. I mean, as far as I went, the one movie I got to see this week was Pulp Fiction, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, all right, it's gonna be good to see an old friend here. Let's put Pulp Fiction on. So I'm watching Pulp Fiction, and I'm like, this is awesome. I don't remember this.
You seeing new stuff?
And I'm saying, oh, this is okay. I see Samuel L. Jackson and what's his name, the guy from Saturday Night
John Travolta.
John Travolta, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then the movie keeps playing. I'm like, I don't remember any of this. And then I got to the point where I'm like, I paused it and I started to think, okay, what's going to happen next, Hoff? Because you've seen this movie. It's Pulp Fiction. It's a classic, Hoff. And I realized I don't think I've ever seen Pulp Fiction before.
You've seen the clips so many
I've
times.
seen the clips of John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson so many times. I thought I saw the movie. I have never seen this movie.
man.
To see Uma Thurman spazzing out on heroin, I was like, "Where's this movie going?" Wait a minute. When they got captured, when they walked into the random store,
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert on Pulp Fiction, and then they got raped by the store owner and his friend that's a security guard.
God.
I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then Butch and all the luck he has. Dude,
Shit.
that movie was absolutely crazy. Now, I didn't love it. I thought it was a good movie. It was cool to see. Again, classic Tarantino. I love the conversations between people.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I could watch Samuel L. Jackson say what again?
Oh, kid, I was just gonna say that is my favorite scene from the movie.
Say what again? I dare you. I fucking dare you.
Because you can feel that guy's thing of saying, you know, he wants to say what.
And that's
probably
just
doesn't
Samuel
understand what
Jackson
the hell's
saying
going
being
on.
Samuel Jackson.
All right, and now again, because this is the fucking first time I've seen Pulp Fiction, which is I just even hate saying on the podcast. What the hell's in the suitcase?
That was his soul, right?
That's up for interpretation.
Yeah, that's the point. It's all.
That
all
was
for
so weird and random. I'm like,
There was that one point where there was a theory that it was the Tesseract.
that's where the Soul Stone was.
That's where it's been.
Holy crap, man! No, I liked it. I enjoyed the conversation. I started watching Kill Bill Volume 1. I haven't
Oh
finished
my
it.
gosh, I haven't seen that in so long.
Yeah.
I loved Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
I'm just finishing off Kill Bill 1 and I'll watch Kill Bill 2, but I thought it was really good. So far my favorite, like when I think of the Tarantino movies that are out there, I think my favorite is still either The Hateful Eight or The Django Unchained. I love those two
Django
movies.
Unchained was
That
ridiculous.
those movies are amazing. But just really quick, because Tarantino's coming out with a movie this week, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's coming out. If you guys could just list like what's like your favorite like Tarantino films, or like what's a Tarantino film that you actually like?
Star Trek.
Not yet. Not yet. I think he said something about it, but we'll see. But other than that, what's
I mean, it's Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction,
I
yeah.
mean, I like them all. Like I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say that. I would pass over any Tarantino movie.
Gotcha.
Django, yeah.
Yeah, I love Django.
You
man.
know.
Django, like I said, Hateful Eight to me was a really good Western, man. How about you, Al? Any
Yo,
favorite?
what they did to Samuel L. Jackson.
In which movie?
Hateful Eight.
Oh yeah.
Yo, that was crazy. But he was a dick though. Like his character was.
He always plays a dick.
Yeah.
He's
Wait,
in all his
Samuel
movies.
Jackson, like, come on.
No, but in that one, like, whatever. It was he was over the top for Samuel L. Jackson.
You don't think he was over the top in the Django?
No.
The Django, I thought he was. Oh, that character he played in the Django was crazy. But Al, for you, man, what's your favorite Tarantino, or do you have?
It's got to be a tie between Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
Yeah, Pulp
You
Fiction.
went old school.
Yeah, now Reservoir Dogs put him on the map for me. The fact there's not much action.
Yeah.
I think it almost all takes place in that warehouse, but just the dialogue between
Dialogue's
the two.
crazy.
Just I've never until then really saw a movie where you can have one scene. Other than obviously you've seen this happen on Broadway plays because of the limitation of the setting, but I've never seen a movie stay stationary in one scene like that. And just
keep
be
you
able to
entertained.
explain the entire thing that's happened with all these characters through dialogue, just dialogue,
I can think of another
and the
movie that did
emotion.
that.
I'm just saying, for me, I don't remember one captivating me like that up until then.
I'm
Usual
curious.
Suspects.
Usual Suspects too.
Same thing,
Not
basically.
no, but that was
all over
spread
the-
out. I mean, it's mostly
Yeah.
dialogue. It's the same
Mostly
concept,
dialogue.
but that's
most
spread out.
Most
That-
of it
like,
was them
Reservoir-
interviewing Kevin Spacey's character.
Yeah, but they go back to different scenes. Reservoir Dogs, for the most
The
part,
warehouse.
is in that warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
and Usual Suspects is a good movie.
The
but-
only movie that I
but,
think that kind of reminded me is nowhere near Reservoir Dogs. It was some movie with Ryan Reynolds in the cell phone. I can't really remember something with
Oh,
a
he
phone.
was in the grave, right? He was buried alive.
Something like that, and it was that movie. Pretty much, he was there, but there was another character
Yeah.
that was all over the place trying
I mean,
to help
the
find them.
only other movie I can, and this is going back, is
Yeah.
Rear Window, because it's literally taking place from that window,
Right.
The majority of the movie. So, but I mean, that was it. And then just Reservoir Dogs, and then going over to Pulp Fiction with all the quotes and everything, like you said, say what again? That whole scene. And when he asks the guy, does Mr. Wallace look like a bitch? So why you trying to fuck him like that? Like that? I'm telling you, that whole movie, and the fact that it basically relaunched John Travolta,
Yeah, it
brought him
did.
back into the movies, back to where
He did good in that movie, man.
yeah.
He killed it, man.
Yeah, and then the fact that you have the entire scope of all his movies are all tied together.
That I want to see this week. I'm gonna actually look up like there's something for the Pixar theory, right? I want to do that for Tarantino
Yeah.
to see how they're all linked, because I know either Mr. White or Mr. Pink is linked to another character in Pulp Fiction.
Well, John Travolta's character, Vincent Vega.
Yeah, he says something about
his brother is the main guy in Reservoir Dogs.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So they're brothers. They were actually he was contemplating at one point making a movie with the two of them called the Vega Brothers, and that would have been ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he never did it. But the movies are all tied one to another. They all have made references to one another
That's cool.
at one point. Like in Pulp Fiction, that scene at the when John Travolta and Uma Thurman's character are having dinner,
Right.
and she's talking about a movie that she's trying out for.
That right. The
That
pilot.
movie that she's trying out for, basically, if you listen to the plot and the characters, is Kill Bill. So one of the theories is that Kill Bill 1 and 2 are a movie in this universe,
Oh wow.
and that's the movie that she was.
Talking about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Brandon? Any Tarantino movie that stands out to you?
I love Django.
Yeah.
Django was great. Kill Bill 1 was awesome. I remember I was like in 4th grade when that came out, so that was really cool to see. You know, the story was funny. It was also like really cool. But really love Django. Django was great.
All right, cool, man. So now we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, man, which was the Comic-Con that came out this week. Today's Sunday, July 21st, I believe. So Comic-Con was this Thursday, or pretty much Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And some of the big news that came out of there And I'll just start throwing these out there and just seeing what you guys think really quick. I don't know how many of you guys saw A Quiet Place, but that started filming. So A Quiet Place Part 2 just started filming all over again. If you haven't seen Quiet Place Part 1, it's an amazing horror movie. A Quiet Place with John Krasinski.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Emily Blunt, man. That movie is
That
fantastic.
movie was crazy. That'll be interesting to see where they go with the sequel.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be nuts. And we also got, and Al, I just wanted to get your take on this, man. We got our first look at a Red Sith Trooper.
That's gonna be. I didn't understand it. Is he just a Sith because?
Because he works for the Sith, maybe.
Well, the
But is
Sith
he a
have always
Sith? Is
been
he a
just
Sith
a
or is he
master
a
and a
Ren?
follower.
I don't know.
No,
They're calling them Red
it's
Sith
Sith.
Troopers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sith.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't know where they're going with that. Because granted, okay, fine, Ben Solo is now leading everything, but he was never Sith. He didn't seem to.
Didn't he want to get rid of the Sith at the end of?
He wanted to get
part
rid
2?
of all of it and make everybody
Exactly.
Yeah, so I didn't understand.
I think we're gonna
It'd
find.
be interesting. Or if this is in the past, I don't know. What
I think
this is.
we're gonna find is there's some big bad that's in charge of this, and he has his own soldiers. That's gonna be. I think they might be clones, but in the red armor because they're protecting the Sith. But we'll find out more. I'm pretty sure they'll show more in the next trailer that comes out for
Yeah.
Star Wars. There, I know Brandon, you're kind of into the Star Wars thing too. What do you
Yeah.
think of the Red Sith there?
I just
Well, not the Red Sith, Red Sith Trooper.
interested to see what they do because I know the really the big push at the end of the Last Jedi was that people can be force sensitive, So are these force sensitive troopers, or are they just people who work for the Sith?
Right.
So I want to see where they go from there, but my initial thought was like, oh, these are just like more force sensitive people who are just on the bad side,
Gotcha. Yeah, why would everyone who has like these special unique powers be only good, right?
Yeah.
I got you there. And then Sanj, I know you and Brandon are big on these animated DC things. They announced that Batman Hush.
I was gonna bring that up for you
yeah.
guys. So I don't know the Hush story, but apparently
I heard it's one of the best.
It's a great story.
So
It's such a good
I
story.
heard a lot of
I was
great
actually
things about
looking at
that.
it on Amazon today. When we're done here, I'm gonna push the button and purchase it so I can read the Hush story.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
apparently at the end of that, the end of the movie that they have planned, they changed the twist.
Okay.
There's a twist, and they make a change to the twist that's supposed to make the story better.
Gotcha.
So I started reading something. I read up to the point where it was spoiler free, and I did not go into the spoiler
same
part of it. So I was
here.
gonna ask if you guys knew anything about Batman Hush.
Batman Hush is great.
So you know the
it's
story.
just as good of a storyline
Mm-hmm.
as the Mask of Phantasm.
Oh
Okay.
wow. Okay.
Really good.
Oh wow!
I don't want to spoil. I want you to read it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
No, because I have a few. I've read most of the I don't collect the Batman
Yeah.
comics as much as I love Batman, but when there's a big story and when they finally compile it, I'll get the graphic novel with all of it compiled and read through that. Like I have The Killing Joke, I have Death in
Yeah.
the Family, Death in the Family. I have a few of them up there. I wanted to get the whole saga of the Bane saga. I can't remember what it's called. Nightfall, the
Yeah.
Nightfall saga. But that's like freaking. Those books are like the same as like Game of Thrones. the oh my god.
Yeah, Batman Hush is crazy.
I heard that like it's pretty much all his villains, and then this one big.
Yeah,
guy
but
in
and
Hush.
all his villains are being used as pawns by this
Yeah.
new villain.
Yeah, this guy is literally like,
And
not to give anything away, it's literally like one big orchestrated setup that really pushes like Batman.
All right, then say no more
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm gonna see that movie.
It's gonna be a
because
great one.
One of my favorite animated movies of all time, besides Mask of the Phantasm, is Red Hood.
Yeah,
Yes.
Batman's Red Hood
Batman
is
under the Red
absolutely
Hood, yes.
incredible. So if anyone hasn't seen Red Hood, and I know Sanjay and Brandon always talk about the DC animated films.
No, they are
Yeah.
incredible. And
They're
that
great.
Batman under the Red Hood, like that scene at the end with Batman, Joker, and Jason Todd.
I was gonna say, I was just like, wasn't Robin in the scene tied up, or it was a Nightwing?
No,
Oh no, it was Joker tied up. It was Joker tied up.
Joker tied up
Yeah,
by
and he was saying pull the trigger.
by
Yeah.
Red Hood, which
Yeah.
was turned out to be.
Jason Todd, and he was like pull the trigger.
But the
Yeah.
but the conversation that they
Yeah,
had.
they had that dialogue
Oh
with each
my
other. That
God.
was powerful.
Yeah, that was
What-
really
You know,
tough.
this is what he did to me. He's like, you're gonna let it, like,
Because
That was great.
as much as Dick Grayson was Batman, you know, Bruce Wayne's ward or
Yeah.
his adopted child or whatever. You never got the feeling that Dick Grayson saw himself as Bruce Wayne's son, and Jason Todd was the first one where
To be in love with the image of Batman.
not just in the image of Batman, like he was Bruce Wayne's son, like he
Yeah.
like really was that adopted son, because the way that Bruce Wayne found him was that he actually stole the wheels off the Batmobile.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and he was just like, this kid is like, and he had, you know, so as close as he was with Dick Grayson, the relationship with Jason Todd was a completely different relationship and much deeper and much more paternal, than the relationship he had with Dick Grayson. And then even Ra's al Ghul, said to Batman, he referred to Jason Todd several times as his son, like as Batman's son. He's like, I was very sorry that you lost your son,
Yeah.
you know, and whatnot. So that really came through in that, you know. And then of course the current Robin is actually his son.
Yeah, I seen that one on the comic books there. And let's see, man, that came out. So did they say when that Batman Hush is coming out, or that it's already being
I
released?
think it's the first
August
of like
6th.
I think it's like the first of the 4 movies they're releasing. They're releasing 2 Superman movies as well,
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
which are gonna be awesome.
But yeah, there was some real good reviews of that Batman Hush, and again, I didn't read the story in the comic, but I heard this one's really, really
if,
good.
Yeah, I
they,
got
if
it.
they're faithful to the comic,
Yeah.
I mean, even with the different twist, no matter. I mean,
Do you have the book?
I don't have the comic. I read it,
Okay.
but it's
'Cause I-
off the charts. It's
it's
great.
Okay.
It's like $31. I'm like, I'm gonna buy it,
Yeah.
but I'm just like,
Yeah.
if somebody got it.
Like if they're faithful to the majority of it, it's gonna be insane.
Gotcha, man.
Probably be the best one, better than the Red Hood.
All right.
Whoa, that's a big statement right there.
It's
All
good.
right.
Then the next bit of news that I saw out there before we get into the big Marvel stuff, because that's the thing that went crazy last night on social media and everything, is Tarantino got interviewed on either Thursday or Friday. I think it was Thursday. And he was discussing, because Tarantino keeps saying that he wants to do 10 movies. And one of the movies that he wants to do is Star Trek. So they asked him, would Star Trek be your last film? And he says, you know, I want to stay true to my 10, but they may be a loophole because Star Trek is a franchise and I'm taking over a franchise, so it's not an original thought, original piece, or anything like that. I personally don't care if it's an original thought or piece. He can make movies. He could go to 20 for all I care. You know, I don't know why he keeps sticking to this 10. Who made him do this 10 thing?
He himself it's a marketing tool to
Yeah.
create the
A little mystique
hype
there.
and a little mystique and demand
Right.
as well, because his movies are great.
He's going to be in demand after that 10th one if he decides to retire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the point. So now you want me to do another movie? How much you gonna give me?
$300
million.
So I mean, sounds,
There'll be no actors because they won't be able to pay for anybody after. So
Right.
it'll just be him directing a set, and it'll be awesome,
I
right?
got you. So I mean, listen, I personally, again, I don't think any of us care if it's his 10th or not. But it sounds. I know you're a big Star Trek fan. Him taking over Star Trek, his twist or his like dialogue, like we always say about his movies. Can you see that dialogue in a Star Trek movie?
I absolutely, because Star Trek right now is having a renaissance.
Okay.
You know, with Discovery doing as well as it is, and Picard, the Picard series coming out. There's a lot of great announcements about the Picard series. We won't talk about that too much. It's not what we get into here. But Star Trek is having such a phenomenal renaissance right now, and it's wonderful to see. And I think there's been a lot of new blood injected, and that's what it's needed. Fresh looks, fresh ideas. Some are gonna work, some are not gonna work, but like just the fresh ideas, and bringing Tarantino into a franchise that is character driven,
That's all him.
plot driven. You know,
Yeah.
and it's what he does. I mean, Star Trek has never been about the visuals of the future or the special effects or anything like
Even
that.
the
It's-
action like that.
yeah, it's never been about that, and they went to that briefly, and I think they learned their lesson, because as much as it may have done well for the pocketbooks, it really didn't sit well with the fans of Star Trek, and I always thought they should have went back to the small screen first, because when Star Trek came to the big screen, they had tons of story behind it, and the characters had already been developed. So now let's go back to developing some characters that we can get on board with and get invested in. And when you bring it to the big screen, it's going to be for a big payoff.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So
man.
I mean, and then you add Tarantino's style to that.
I know, right? It's gonna be
What?
crazy.
And a rated R Star Trek
Yeah.
movie? Oh, come on, let's go.
So Al, what do you think about this? I mean, do you think we're gonna get Samuel L. Jackson because he's always in all his movies, telling someone to say what again in
Nah,
Star
it'll-
Trek?
I think it's an interesting take on Star Trek if you put a Tarantino behind it, only because it's Star Trek. I think should have always been a lot more dialogue based than it was,
Right.
especially with the recent batch of Star Treks. They went towards more of the action and Hollywood style. Oh, let's hit them with all the effects and so forth.
Right.
Even though I like J.J. Abrams, but and it was an interesting spin on it. It was just too action. There wasn't enough dialogue. Whereas the old Star Treks, you had the interaction, the interplay. You understood what the connection between Kirk and Spock, why they really called each other friends, why there was such an emotional reaction when Spock sacrificed himself. So I'd like to see them go back to that between the
Gotcha, yeah.
characters, and Tarantino does that. I'm just, I'm anticipating how they handle his take on gore in a Star Trek universe.
Right. Because he's
Because-
very, very.
Yeah, because you don't see that in any. There's
Actually-
not much
Actually,
blood.
in Discovery, they've been on the small screen. They've gotten pretty gory
Oh, yeah?
Okay.
with it on
yeah, I
like
haven't seen
showing a
Discovery,
lot of
but-
blood, like a lot of just gruesome by Star
They're
Trek
getting you ready.
standards. of
They're
course.
Right.
getting you ready.
Yeah, no,
Prepping.
Like there was some stuff in Star Trek Discovery that was pretty gruesome.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because
Um,
usually the phaser just disintegrated you. There was,
Yeah.
there was no like arm falling off, no
Right.
blood
I mean,
spurting
and
out.
and even in the Next Generation, when they introduced the Borg, and as they fleshed out the Borg characters more, they got more and more sinister, and just they were scary. Like I remember like being afraid of the Borg.
Right.
Like I had nightmares about the Borg because it tapped into alien abduction.
You will be assimilated.
You will be assimilated, and like, like they take. I mean, just anyone that loves sci-fi, right? Is
Yeah.
you know it as much as. Don't let them fool you. Anyone that loves sci-fi is into conspiracy theories about aliens and stuff like that. Even if they're closeted about it, like
Yeah.
they're into that stuff. So like like even when you go back to the movie Fire in the Sky, which was about Travis Walton and his alleged abduction and the scene that even like those scenes, I feel like whoever thought up the Borg probably saw Fire in the Sky and said, yeah, this is the archetype we're gonna use.
Right.
Because like just stripping someone of their humanity and they're cutting you up and adding mechanical parts and stuff like that. Like I had legit nightmares about
Yeah.
the Borg, bro. Like
Oh man. And Brandon, man, how about you, man? Any takes on that?
I think Tarantino would be really interesting. I think we talked about this before when that was first announced. I want to see his take because of his vision.
Right.
So I think he's gonna bring something really new and fleshed out for this Star Trek film that I'm actually kind of interested to see. Like I've never been a really big Star Trek fan, but I feel like I would really want to see like what he does with this.
All right.
I think the only drawback could be that it might be his talent might be wasted on the cast that they have if they're gonna do a fourth Star Trek movie in the J.J. Abrams universe, where they use that same cast and whatnot because they really haven't built them up, and then to now change up the style of how they interact with each other.
I'm curious about that. Like, are they gonna go with that cast, a brand new cast, or what they're gonna do with?
So after all the stuff that happened in Discovery in this season, there has been there's been some fans calling for Anson Mount, the guy who played Captain Pike, because the original Enterprise actually made an appearance in Discovery Season 2, and it was part of the season-long story arc that Captain Pike, who was the captain of the Enterprise before Kirk, and his number one, and Spock when he was a lieutenant, there was a big story arc for the whole season with the three of them, and now those three characters, Spock, number one, and Christopher Pike, will not be in Season 3 of Discovery. So, but the performance that Anson Mount gave as Captain Christopher Pike was one of the, everyone's saying, anyone that knows Star Trek is saying, it's probably one of the greatest performances of a Starfleet captain. I mean, he shot up there with Kirk and Picard
Damn.
in
okay.
one season.
Right.
Like, no one's talking about.
So he made an impact real
like
quick. Yeah.
just his performance, Anson Mount's performance was incredible, right? And if they took Tarantino, and because they had no plans to do anything more with the three of them, and now in between the Discovery season they do these short treks where they do little clips or little stories, like 2, 3 or like 15-minute stories that actually, when they did it last time, led into stuff that happened in this season. So they have, I think, like 2 or 3 episodes of short treks that they're doing in between season 2 and season 3 involving them. So if they gave Tarantino that crew to work with, ooh,
All right.
what he could do with that.
All right. Got Sanjay ready for that. All right. And then now what we're going to do is, man, we're going to get into the big creme de la creme of Comic-Con. The reason that I want to go to Comic-Con next year.
All right, so before we do that, when we go, not if, when we go, what are we dressing as? Are we like, because we're a team, like we have to, like, it has to be a team thing.
Well, it all depends on how many of us go. If a lot of us
There's 4
go,
bro.
yeah, but we never know who's going to come with us.
Yeah, but I mean, we're the ones that are gonna decide which team it is. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Do we get like an official name, like the Revengers? Like
no, like, do we want to like dress up as the Avengers, or are we gonna go Justice League? Like, we gotta do something.
I don't know. We got to figure out what's hot and what's a good 4-man team around that time, man. See what we come up with.
I mean, we
What are those guys that
Batman,
wear the Tinky
Superman-
Winky? What are the guys in the colors?
In the what?
You know, the that kid show with the things that sing, but they have 4 different colors.
Teletubbies.
Teletubbies. Like, yo, let's go with Teletubbies.
I'm the triangle.
Yo, Tinky Winky. Yo, Tinky Winky. I'll be purple.
Oh my god, man.
I say we could do Justice League, and we could do just like the core 4: Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Brandon will be Wonder Woman.
Done deal. Done. She's got pants now.
Awesome, man. All right, well, we'll figure that out as we get closer to that time, man, because I don't even know when the San Diego Comic-Con is. We'll try to figure out what we're going to do.
1 year from now.
There you go. Yeah, man. So, again, the reason why I wanted to go to San Diego Comic-Con is because of all the hype with Marvel, man. Marvel did its thing this year with Endgame, and last year Infinity War, then even Spider-Man Far From Home. And, of course, everyone knew Spider-Man Far From Home was it. And that's all we kind of knew. We heard little rumors here and there of different movies and different shows, but it was made official last night. And Brandon texted me all night about it.
I feel like it was in San Diego, right? So we had that 4-hour time gap. I'm like, oh my god, it's like 12 o'clock, but this is great news.
So the first thing that came out that I heard was about the Black Widow. I heard they showed some footage. Some people were saying it was super violent, the footage. It was like a girl versus a Black Widow. I'm not sure which woman or girl
Yelena.
character it was, but they said that they officially confirmed that Taskmaster is the big bad,
Okay.
but David Harbour is not Taskmaster. He's playing some character named the Red Guardian.
Oh wow.
So I
Which
gotta
is
look
a
up.
Russian superhero.
Yeah, so I'm curious to find out more information about that, but nothing too crazy about that. But that's the next movie that's coming out. After that, we're gonna get the Eternals, and when they did the Eternals
They
panel,
said that was that's the big team up, or that they're building up in Phase 4.
well, no, not at all. That's just gonna be the movie that comes out. Apparently, what they said was the Eternals were actually living among us humans right now. They just haven't been shown or seen before, and it's a huge cast. I don't know if you might know, Sanjay, who Richard Madden is.
Yes.
Game of Thrones.
I think he's
Yeah,
Game
he
of
played,
Thrones.
he played Robb Stark.
Okay, so he's going to be playing some character named Icarus.
Ned Stark's oldest son. Yeah. So he's playing Icarus. Yes.
Yeah, then
Saw that.
who else did they say? They said Camille Nanjiani was going to be in there.
Angelina Jolie as Athena.
Yeah, Salma Hayek is in the movie.
Yeah, the cast is incredible.
It's absolutely insane. It's a huge cast, all in this one movie. Now, my thing with the Eternals, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the Eternals was supposed to take place like long time ago in space. He said that they live amongst the humans.
Yeah, it was on Earth
Eternals were sent
millions
to
of years ago.
they were sent to Earth by the Celestials
Okay.
and they lived among us, kind of a thing. Like Angelina Jolie's character Thena, Athens was actually named after her, and not
Gotcha.
a Greek god. Like they were named based off of Zeus's kids, but Thena, was actually Athens is made for her. So like there's a whole storyline of her having kids, kind of a thing, and then her memory gets wiped out, and all of a sudden like some battle happens where she's abducted and she remembers being an Eternal, and then gets a team together and they fight deviants. And deviants are not Skrulls, but they're kind of like a bad alien race that has what's his name? Thanos.
Okay.
Thanos is born of deviant blood. So Thanos was an Eternal, but he was also half deviant, and his facial features and all that take from the deviant line of DNA.
Oh, okay. Wow. So that should be crazy interesting.
Yeah.
Another big movie that they announced. We all knew Doctor Strange 2 was coming out, but we did not know it would be called Multiverse of Madness, featuring the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're saying it's going to be, they're trying to make it a scary.
Yeah, gothic
MCU,
horror movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
MCU
official
movie.
first horror movie for
MCU, yeah.
MCU. Now, what do you guys think of that? When I saw that Multiverse of Madness, the first thing I thought was House of M. And you know how they did Planet Hulk? They threw it kind of into the other movies there. Do you guys think that possibly we can probably maybe get that House of M?
I mean, Scarlet Witch was House of M.
Yeah,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
She was
So
No More
I mean,
Mutants.
it was kind of out of left field when they announced it that she would be in it.
Right? Yeah.
I
I never
mean-
expected that.
So it's of course it's possible with her doing that, and I like the whole gothic theme because the first time she made her appearance in the MCU, Scarlet Witch, I thought that very gothic, vampire-y, or
Kinda look,
vampirist
right.
type of look. So I'm like, it said to me like, yeah, she could work in a film like that where it's very dark and gothic and everything. So that the fact that they're doing it now is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting because then, like, if we're traveling through the multiverse, we've officially made the multiverse a thing, because they did make that a thing in Doctor Strange, the original. But, like, now it's like, no, we actually do have a multiverse now. It's going to be interesting who the villain's going to be. Is it going to be Baron Mordo, as we were hoping, or are we going to get something else?
Right. I think they'll probably put Baron Mordo, but with this whole gothic horror thing,
Yeah.
and I think the guy named is Scott Erickson is the guy who's writing it and directing it. He always said he wanted to see Nightmare in the movie, so that I could see that being part of the whole horror aspect of the movie there too.
True.
Another thing that came out in the big reveal from MCU for Marvel was they signed the actors for Shang-Chi and also for, surprise, the Mandarin.
Oh, yeah.
Which
the
is
real Mandarin.
The real
Yes,
Mandarin,
'cause
right?
it's Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, the Legend of
Yeah.
the Ten Rings.
Right, that's the name of the movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's gonna be pretty interesting. Now, I it's kind of weird because I feel like they're trying to take back that Iron Man 3 mistake.
And this is what we
Yes.
talked about before. We've
Yeah.
had this conversation.
So they're kind of be like, oh no, we were just kidding. Look,
Yeah.
it's the real Mandarin.
Because they made sure to say, no, it's the real Mandarin.
And they've done this now twice. Like Marvel had the Marvel one shot where they said, they had the real Mandarin in Ten Rings. And then they put that little cameo in Ant-Man when they were at the auction where the guys had the Ten Rings tattoo on them.
Right.
So now we're like, okay, like I guess we've been working towards having a Mandarin. I just feel like that the shot was over in Iron Man 3,
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they do here, and if they make any kind of references back to Iron Man 3. I feel like they're going to, like remember that phony who tried to use my name kind of a thing.
Right.
Retcon.
Yeah. So I feel like they're gonna really
Major
try.
retcon.
But I was like, I don't know. I'm interested to see it, but I'm not too like hype about the man who's gonna play the Mandarin. Like
Tony
You're just
Leung?
so jaded by that Iron Man 3. Anything like remotely associated with it
I don't know.
is like just not working for you.
like
at all.
when I think the Mandarin, I think like a very like intimidating, like powerful looking, maybe like somewhat bigger, character.
like The Rock.
You imagine? Is he just doing people's elbow on Shang-Chi? No, he had a stroke on screen. That's actually what happened. but like the actor they casted, he looked kind of frail. Like, I don't know. So I'm hoping they pull it off. I want to see. I have to see it.
All right, cool, man. Another bit of news with the Shang-Chi is that they got Simu Liu. I've never heard of that character or that person
He's a
before.
Canadian Chinese actor.
Yeah, and the same thing with Tony Leung. Or has anyone heard of any movies? Are they mainly like actors in Canada or in Hong Kong? Kind of thing, but I don't recognize the name, don't recognize the face. I feel like I've heard of Tony before. I'm not sure which movie it is that he's done or anything.
Yeah, I'm looking at the movies on his list, and he looks like he's more of a overseas actor. I don't think
Gotcha.
it doesn't look like he's done anything big here. He was in Ip Man. He was Ip Man
Oh, he was. Oh, so then I know who he is. if
in a
he's
movie
Ip Man.
called The Grandmaster. No, he's not the Ip
Oh.
Man that we're familiar with.
Okay.
He played a character named Ip Man in a movie called The Grandmaster. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right. And then the next bit of news there, man. Thor 4 got a title instead of not Thor 4. It's called Love and Thunder.
Thunder.
What'd you guys think of that
I'm
title, man? Did you
so
see Did you
hyped.
see the logo for it?
Yes.
Logo looks crazy,
Yeah.
right?
It looks
Yeah.
like an old school 80s video game.
And they
Like,
did that with Ragnarok. So
It almost
Yeah,
looks
right.
like Masters of the Universe. Remember
Yes.
He-Man?
Yeah, definitely, man. It had that feel. Then we got Taika Waititi coming back. He's writing it, directing it. Now I know Thor Ragnarok wasn't on your high list there, but you have higher hopes for this one.
I hope so because I like the direction they're going with it. It'll be interesting to see. I think Sanjay and I were talking about this off air before the podcast. To see, I want to see what leads up to Thor losing the title,
Gotcha.
and
what
now,
becomes the unworthy Thor?
yeah, what makes him unworthy? Whether it's a confidence matter, whether it's does he do something that now makes him unworthy? I want to see where they take it and how they bring Jane Foster back into it.
Yeah.
To the point where now she's the one who takes up the mantle.
Dude, how cool was it that they brought her out there, man? I
Yeah.
thought she was done because
Because she hated it.
even Endgame, that wasn't her there. Those were old footage that they found.
she- Oh,
did
was it? I thought-
but no,
okay, I
it was
wasn't
old
sure.
footage,
Yeah,
but she
okay.
did do some voiceover like work for some background.
If I
And I
recall,
know she did some of
hated
and she did some of the marketing for
Yeah.
it. So
She got paid. I mean, she doesn't hate
Yeah.
getting paid. Like
yeah,
let's be real.
She wasn't
Yeah.
happy with the Thor movies of the direction of being the love interest, and
Right.
that's all she did.
Oh, not
know?
anymore.
So now, like,
She-
I think that the storyline that they're taking from the two storylines, because it's two separate comic books, really,
Okay.
that they're taking from. I'm super excited
yeah.
to see if they are faithful to most of it. You know, the
Right.
unworthy Thor part, and then the mighty Thor.
mighty
you know,
Thor.
so I'm really excited to see what they do with that.
It'd be cool to see her in the
Gore,
Thor.
the God Butcher. You know, if he ends up being the villain, that kind of leads into in the comics. Gore, the God Butcher, kind of leads into Thor becoming unworthy due to something, not Samuel Jackson. I'm sorry, Nick Fury says. You know, when he takes
It's
over
no
the
longer
watch's
Nick
power.
Fury.
Yeah.
It is now Samuel
He's
L.
just
Jackson.
Samuel Jackson.
No, because so the reason he goes after the God Butcher is because the God Butcher's out there killing gods.
Yeah, he says
basically.
your time is over. He
No,
goes,
and
you've
he
done
said,
nothing for.
yeah, like he said, all of you gods and deities, all you've done is bring chaos and destruction to the people, and he's
Right.
like, and that's why I'm out here killing you, and so Thor goes after him obviously because he's the god of thunder, right? And Samuel L. Jackson, shit, I did it, shit. Nick Fury whispers in Thor's ears, "He's right."
Oh wow.
Yeah, and we didn't know that. Like, they kept it like a secret in the comic for a
So
while, and then it revealed.
right, yeah, like you saw him whisper something and no one knew what it was, and then they revealed like near the end of this story. He's like, he's right.
Crazy.
And it's cool because the way the comic, I mean, this is a really recent storyline. This is 2017. It's cool that, like, in the comic, Jane Foster ends up getting cancer.
Yeah.
You know, and she, like, stage 4, like, she's on death's bed, and,
Oh,
you know,
wow.
she becomes worthy of the power of Thor.
But-
and she becomes Thor, and those powers keep her alive, basically.
Well, also, but not only that, every time she picked up the hammer and transformed into Thor, it made her cancer worse when she put the hammer down.
Oh wow.
So
That's
that was
deep.
so that was the
Yeah.
twist in the story as well.
Her storyline now, they actually just concluded.
So while she was Thor, she was
Yeah.
fine. But anytime she put down the hammer and lost the power, it made her cancer worse.
Wow. That's crazy.
So her storyline, they actually just concluded with this really big Thor storyline where, like, they had several heroes become kind of Thor,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and they actually promoted her like through the powers of the Ultimate Mjolnir, because the whole confiscated story. But the Ultimate Mjolnir, when it broke, it actually attached to her and made her a Valkyrie. So now she's a Valkyrie. So I think it would be really cool to see her become Thor in this movie, and possibly become another Valkyrie, which would be cool, you know, because Valkyrie's now the
Queen of
queen
Asgard.
of New Asgard.
Oh,
you know,
actually,
and she's becoming
not for nothing.
Yeah.
Thor called her the king,
Yeah.
of that, which I
Yeah.
thought was interesting. He said the people already have their king.
Yeah.
Which is good. I'm glad this came up because it's what I like about what they're doing with Tessa Thompson or Valkyrie's role in it. Her part in the movie is she's now, they show her looking for her queen.
Yes.
Which I'm like, this is going to be
So,
really interesting.
Yeah. So I like the fact that, I mean, they've always been hinting at it with her,
Right.
but they're going to be just outright. "No,
Imagine like it's
she
a
is
love
the
triangle
king," and
movie.
she's-
Like both of them fighting over Jane Foster.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be actually really funny. That'd be really cool to see.
Or it'd be funny if she was just like, I wasn't looking for a person. I'm just a really big fan of 80s music. I was just looking for the Queen album. Like,
Yeah, man.
Zing!
As weird as Taika Waititi is, that might be it.
Who is this Freddie Mercury?
Also, so now that we're talking about someone other than Thor wielding the power of Thor and everything, this would be a great way to introduce Better Ray Bill.
Yeah, they keep like not mentioning him. I mean, like,
Yeah.
stop teasing me, man.
Yeah, I mean, how it's a perfect way to bring in Better Ray Bill.
To have like 3 Thor characters on screen
Yeah,
would be pretty awesome.
I mean, we've already had 2 on
Yeah.
screen, so come on, let's
Yeah.
let's up the ante a little bit. You know, like
I mean, it's a lot of hammers, but like you could do it.
Yeah, man. And then a big thing that they came out with was the Disney Plus shows. So apparently these Disney Plus shows, even though they're like small little things, like almost like TV programs, they are affiliated with the.
it's all part of the universe.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
well,
part
they're
of
saying
Phase 4.
WandaVision leads into
Doctor
Doctor
Strange.
Strange's movie.
Yeah.
So the events of WandaVision will impact the events and what plays out in Doctor Strange.
AKA sign up for Disney Plus.
Basically, which well, in a way I'm glad they're doing that, because on Netflix they had the Daredevil, they had Jessica Jones and everything. Then on TV they had
The Agents of
Agents of
S.H.I.E.L.D..
Shields. Those shows never factored into the movies. The movies somewhat factored into the shows, but never
Right.
the other way around. So I'm glad they're saying, no, this is one universe, and we're going to have them factor into each other.
So in
Absolutely.
WandaVision also, that you were gonna get an adult version of Monica Rambeau.
Yes. Tiana Taylor, I think, is playing it.
Tiana Paris.
Tiana Parrish, my bad.
So
Yeah.
you know she was the young girl in Captain Marvel,
Yeah.
and now
Yeah.
you're gonna see an adult version of her. So we get to see what she grows up to be.
That's awesome, man. And then I heard the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is gonna have the real Baron Zemo.
Yes.
Yeah, with the
With
mask.
the mask.
With the mask.
Oh,
And the
man.
Falcon is going to be in the kind of a Captain America uniform.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And they also confirmed Hawkeye, Loki, and Al was saying What If. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be like an animated thing of What If, and they're bringing
With
back
the
a lot
Watcher,
of the
yeah.
characters.
And
Yeah,
then
dude.
Blade. We don't know if that's going to be a movie or a Disney Plus show.
Mahershala Ali. That's all you got to
That's
know.
all you need.
That
man.
was great.
That's all you need.
That announcement was perfect. That could be a Spider-Man
Wait,
tie-in.
but did you guys hear how he became Blade?
He,
That
did he
was-
suggest it?
He
Yeah,
called it.
he
He said,
called
I
a
want,
meeting.
I want to play Blade.
And they're like, oh yeah, of course.
Yes. They said when he calls, you do what he says.
Yeah,
No,
man.
I've seen a few movies with him, like most recently, The Green Book,
Yeah.
Oh,
and he's
forget
a
it.
phenomenal
Super
actor.
I saw
Wesley Snipes
Moonlight.
is probably rolling right now. I was like, God damn it.
Well, because he threw a fit and said, "No, I'm the only one that can play Blade."
Why?
I don't know,
Because
But
he's
he
Wesley
threw a
Snipes and
fit,
he needs
yeah.
money. That's why.
I'm sure he'll be involved somehow, some way.
But
He
my
has
thing
to
is,
be.
I'm hoping.
They'll have him play Whistler.
Now, has he done any action movie?
No, but he
he just did True Detective, and I haven't seen it yet.
He was also
Because
Luke
like,
Cage.
how,
he was
are
Luke
they
Cage. He
gonna-
was the main villain in Luke Cage season 1. And
Yeah,
the first half.
but he wasn't like action. So that's what that was
Yeah.
what I was gonna say. Like he didn't have any action in that, and they kill him off.
I'm trying to think of because he was in Alita Battle Angel, but I don't think he did any kind of
no
fight
action.
scenes or
So
anything.
I'm interested to see.
I like
how,
Alita Battle
what
Angel, by the way. I'm
good.
sorry.
No, what play are they going to take on Blade? Because I like the Wesley Snipes take on Blade.
Yeah.
You know, and Wesley Snipes
Do you
having
think-
that training like
but do you
led
think
to the authenticity.
Wesley Snipes' version of Blade fits into the MCU right now?
No, but neither does a non-combative Blade.
Oh, I mean, Blade's
So-
he's
so,
gonna
like,
be
what kind
combative.
of train-
like-
yeah, so what kind of
They
training-
can train him. You know,
Yeah, but
he
does
just
it
has to do- he-
does it lend to the authenticity of the scene?
listen. There's plenty of actors.
Because like even John Wick, I finally saw. Oh, that was another movie I saw. I saw John Wick 3 again,
Okay.
and now knowing what's coming, I was able to take in the scenes a little bit more, and you see the choreography because
It's a dance, man.
because he's not truly like he doesn't train in that, so you
But he
can
did-
see the
but even-
choreography.
But even martial arts, right? It's footwork. So even when you see like a real fight, like guys, you know, if you go to like a karate tournament, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like synchronized movement.
But if you haven't been trained in it, you can tell when someone's lifting their leg and throwing their leg, or when they're doing the kick properly. So that's what I'm saying. When Wesley
Yeah.
Snipes did it, it looked authentic because he had been training in martial arts his
Yeah.
whole life. So to see someone who's gotten maybe 6 months of training, and is
I'll tell you what,
choreographed,
though.
I just have faith
I
in
hope
Marshall
it's not
Ali.
like- where-
That's what I was about to say, man. That guy's
I
such
got
a
faith
phenomenal
in him.
actor.
Like
I'm
he's
hope-
one of
that's
the-
what I'm saying. No,
I
I
think
give
he's
him
one of
credit,
those.
and I
He's one of
hope he
those
can pull it
actors
off.
that he's gonna throw himself into it completely, and he's gonna refine it and refine it and refine
Especially
it.
since he's the
refine
one who requested it too.
it. Exactly.
Oh,
I'm
forget
really
it,
interested
man.
to see the direction they take it because, like, if he's gonna be in the MCU
Vampires?
and Sony is making their little Spider-Man universe that has Morbius in it, you know, like we have Blade who does vampires, we have this Morbius movie happening in Sony. Are we gonna have more crossover and possibly
hope so.
crossover into Spider-Man?
I sincerely hope so.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that would be incredible. I mean, there's like me and Ree were talking about the Spider-Man Blade crossovers and how, you know, Blade came in to get Morbius, you
Right.
know, and Spider-Man was protecting him because at this time Morbius was like a semi quasi good guy.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that could be a great movie there.
Yeah, gotcha, man.
That could be how they bring in Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one thing I didn't see was another Spider-Man movie.
no,
Like they're
not
projecting
yet.
3 years out, and there's no mention of a Spider-Man.
But you know what, man? I don't think that's the entirety of Phase 4.
And Spider-Man is technically Sony.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
it-
at
it
the, but at the
reverted
same
back at this
time,
point?
Technically Sony.
Sony let them do it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's a partnership still right now.
True.
but the thing is, they threw in all those Disney Plus movies into there. Like, that's only from 2020 to 2021.
Yeah.
That's 2 years. There's definitely more.
Next year they could be announcing 2020, the end of 2021, 2022.
I think they're going to actually do that at Disney D23,
Okay.
which is in another, I think, 2 weeks or so. I think they're going to introduce even more because I don't think that's the entirety of Phase
'Cause
4.
we haven't really heard anything about Guardians 3. We know that
No,
it's
exactly.
happening.
Guardians
We didn't hear
3,
anything there.
Captain Marvel 2.
Because when you figure Phase 1 through
Black
3
Panther
was
2.
Black
23
Panther 2.
movies, right? So if you divvy it up, that's at least 7-8 movies a phase, right? So this might only be half of Phase 4. right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So-
just those Disney Plus shows are making it look a little bit more than
Right.
what it
But
is.
Spider-Man is the one that I'm more concerned of
Because
from a
of the
character
age.
exactly from a character standpoint. Because now, if you go 3-4 years out before the next one, you can't unless they have the same genes as Tom Cruise and Jennifer Lopez and
Let me
everybody.
tell you this though, but they're
Can they
doing
pull
they're
off-
doing amazing things with makeup right now
Well,
because
look at Sam Jackson in Captain Marvel.
exactly.
What?
And not only that, from the Picard trailer at the end when they show Data, right? The character that plays Data, one of the Brent Spiner, one of the things he said about like going back to play the character, he's like, he's like, Data is not supposed to age, and he's like, I look way too old right now
Yeah.
to play the same character because the character is not supposed to age. But when you look at him, what they did, the skin is smooth and he looks right, and he looks like a younger version of himself. So I mean, they can do it.
See, with Data, that could almost come off because he was pasty.
Okay.
But I'm just concerned
Also,
if you
though, like-
become too much where CGI,
But here's the
CGI
thing with,
everything
with
becomes
Tom
CGI.
Holland,
It's
with
like,
Tom Holland and Zendaya,
yeah.
they have the ability right now to play characters that are so much younger than them. Like they're in their like
22.
mid 20s, right?
Yeah,
Like they're
22.
22, 23. And Zendaya is actually one of the shows I'm watching right now is Euphoria. She's playing a 17-year-old, a 16 or 17-year-old,
And she's pulling it
and
off.
she's pulling it off.
Yeah.
You know, so even if it's 3 years out, they can start playing age appropriate characters.
I feel like it's gonna happen in the next 2 years.
I think so
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I would
it's
say
gonna
so.
happen
That's
next
why-
year.
I
that's-
think D23 is going to announce Guardians, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man.
Because there's no word on all
Yeah.
of those movies that.
Yeah.
Well,
Comic-Con.
they may be finalizing some contracts for some
Yeah.
actors and some details
Absolutely.
and whatever, so they don't want to announce it before they have it finalized. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And look, how much more they're gonna hit us with at one time? Because this is just
That
the
just
Marvel.
blew our
8
mind
movies.
right there.
Right.
8 things.
That was 8 things, and that's just the Marvel stuff that came out of Comic-Con. We're not.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about anything else other than the Marvel stuff out of Comic-Con. Actually, we talked about.
Now,
stuff, but, yeah.
I was about to say, we just had like a good half hour.
Now I was just questioning because, and now it was funny because I was listening to one of the other podcasts in regards to these streaming services, and they were projecting or wondering and assuming if they were going to get away from the a la carte like what Netflix does, where okay, the show comes out, here's all 22 episodes or 16 or 13.
Are we gonna have to wait next week?
Are they going to do it episodic, where it's okay once a week? To get away from what Sanjay was saying when we brought up the whole streaming services, where okay, I'll rent it for that, I'll pay for that month, I'll watch all the episodes, I'll cancel, and then I don't have to sign up for another 8-9 months. There to get away from that, there's just talk that
Well,
they're
right-
going to make them episodic.
Right now, with CBS, other than Netflix, right now CBS is the one that's out there that has like, that's really in this game with the streaming.
Yeah, do they do all?
They
everything
they
all
do
at once?
episodic. Star
they
Trek
do
comes
once
out
a week?
episodically. So when the season's over, yeah, you can get the entire season, but then you have to wait. And for things like that we like,
They're leading up
I'm
into
not
a movie that
gonna-
we're gonna see too.
I'm not gonna wait until the entire season's over to then get it. Like for Star Trek, I'm not gonna do that. I might do that. I'll do that for Arrow,
Yeah.
Supergirl, and the DC stuff. Like I'll just
Yeah.
wait till the season's over,
Yeah,
and then like binge one weekend or whatnot for that stuff
yeah,
because
that's basically what
I like it. I don't love it like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But the stuff that people love, like can you imagine as trash as season 8 of Game of Thrones was, right? Can you imagine having to wait till the end of the season, even though it was only like 6 weeks?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you're like, no, I need it now. I need it
Yeah.
now. Give me.
Yeah, that's us.
It's
man.
crack.
Society
It's like
right
it's
now.
like
Yeah.
crack.
Yeah, man. And then the last bit of thing that came out of Comic-Con from the Marvel end of it was that Kevin Feige would not commit to an Avengers for the 4th phase. He said, listen, we just saw the phase end. He's like, listen, these are new characters. These are the same characters, but new, different things you didn't see, a different take on these characters. And he goes, when it comes to X-Men and Fantastic Four, we're working on Fantastic Four. We got nothing to talk about right now, but we're definitely in development on that. He goes, and as far as X-Men, we're not going to do it the way you're used to. So I think what they might do is it's kind of like how they brought the Avengers together. Little separate stories for some characters, and maybe some other characters are in it, but nothing big news-wise on that. So, I mean, that was pretty much the big news from Comic-Con. And again, guys, it's just absolutely crazy what MCU and what Marvel's doing there. And I'm just looking forward to the next few years of Marvel movies and all these movies, actually. You know, like today we talked about It Chapter 2, Top Gun, the Hustlers movie. Movies is just this phenomenon that we all love and watch together. And it's just something that, I don't know, man, it just does something for me, man. I love movies, man.
Yeah.
Love talking about it. Movies is what got us 4 here together to
Exactly.
talk. And it's just a beautiful thing, man. But listen, is there anything from Comic-Con signs that really shined for you that you
There's some big stuff in the DC universe that they're doing with crossovers in the
Mm-hmm.
Arrow universe with Flash and everything, where they're gonna do
The Crisis.
The Crisis.
Crisis on Infinite Earth.
and Brandon Routh is actually getting another shot at playing Superman.
I heard
the
about
Kingdom
that. Yeah.
Come Superman too.
Yes,
That's a great story.
Yeah,
that is
man.
deep.
That's
DC
cool.
story.
And Al,
And
for you, go for it.
I'm
Sanj.
sorry, and it looks like there's gonna be more than one Superman
Yeah.
on the screen because it's that Crisis crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's gonna be nuts.
I was just gonna say, I wonder because he's already in that universe
as
as
Yeah. Well, it's
Adam,
not that
as the
Adam,
universe.
yeah.
So I feel like because they're gonna cross over for 5 days.
Yeah.
So it's literally all 5 shows. Then even with the new Batwoman show.
Yeah.
So it's 5 days worth of things. So I guess they could have one episode where the Atom's not there, to explain why this Superman is here.
and what he looks exactly like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, he's coming from another universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Al, for you, man, anything from Comic-Con that stood out for you?
Honestly, it's funny because you would think it would be one of the smaller ones. I'm really excited for the What Ifs.
Okay.
That show. Only because it takes from what I remember from the comics, like it really does take everything that you said. Oh, what if this played out differently, and then it plays it out for you to show you what might have happened or what would have happened had that
And you
happened.
get to imagine it, and it's not like part of the canon per
Exactly,
se.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
people don't have to get it in an uproar. Oh, they changed the story.
Oh, they destroyed it. Yeah, no, this is okay. What if this had happened? What if that had happened?
Gotcha.
So, yeah,
All
so
right.
It's just a simple what if.
Yep.
Yeah. And Brandon, for you, man, what stood out for you from Comic-Con?
Everything, man, from the Marvel to everything that we've just talked about. I think the things that I'm really most excited about right now, because I know they're going to happen a lot sooner than the Marvel movies coming out, is getting to see all of those DC movies, those animated movies. The DC movies we talk about are probably the best things that DC has ever done. And I'm super excited to see the 2 Superman movies that they're making, because they've been on a roll with. They started with this Batman line of movies, then they went to Teen Titans, and then the last couple years, with Justice League as well. The last couple years, they've really been focusing on the Superman storylines. They just did the Death of Superman 1 and 2 last year. And so to do these other 2 Superman movies, I'm very excited to see them actually be serious about their Superman storytelling, because it's
Gotcha.
always been the weakest, I would say.
Superman
always
came back
relied-
to life with that long, glorious hair.
Oh yeah, yeah, the black suit, the long hair, the beard. So like, I've always, we say this all the time. DC has always been Batman, because they can tell those stories beautifully.
Right.
All the animated movies are all Batman, and they're done right. So to see them being really serious with their storytelling on Superman, I'm super excited to see it.
Yeah, man. And for me, man, Comic-Con, the biggest thing for me are the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all those stories and movies that'll be coming out. I'm looking forward to that. I'm a huge Marvel fan, so those things just wow, just amazing to hear all those things that are happening. And then again, It Chapter 2, man. The trailers and then some of the stuff that they showed over there in the at Scare Diego, they called it, for that first day when they showed all the characters. They were there doing interviews. Just seems like a lot of good stuff coming from it. So I'm looking forward to It Chapter 2 in September and all these Marvel movies, man. So listen, we're going to end the podcast right here. We're at an hour and a half today. But this was going to be a long...
This is an old school
This is an
one.
old school podcast for us, man. An old school hour and a half. We used to go longer, but I used to edit them down. But this one I'm not editing, man. This one was awesome. This was just fantastic stuff.
So much cursing.
Because we're excited.
Yeah, very excited. But for next week, guys, we're going to start getting you guys prepped for Hobbs and Shaw. So we're going to be watching Fast and Furious 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's 4 movies there. We'll give you guys a quick...
Family.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all it is. So we'll give you guys a prep next week for Hobbs and Shaw. And until next week, guys, it's Hobbs, Sanj, Alan, B signing off. We thank you for listening. And again, remember, you guys can find us at therealfanreview.com. You can leave us an email, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good night.